When you're really embracing a mindful eating practice, you're also pausing to appreciate how hungry and how full you are throughout the day. And so it really, again, goes back to your intuitive wisdom of being able to eat something nourishing when you're hungry and to be aware of when you're satisfied. I think far too often in our chaotic, overscheduled culture, we're running so quick that we're not even tasting our food, but we're also not paying attention to the signals of our hunger and our fullness. And so when you're trying to establish a balanced approach with food, it's going to be key to pause, check in with your hunger, make sure that you're nourishing your body throughout the day so that you can do the work that you're striving to do, but also try to slow down, really embrace the experience so that you can catch the fullness signals. When you're eating, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes for the hormones that are released from the stomach to travel to your brain. And so a lot of intuitive strategies are to slow down the eating experience so that you can actually pick up on those signals accurately. If you've ever had a Thanksgiving meal and thought that you were stopping when you were just full and then 20 minutes been stuffed, that's in essence that hormone traveling to the brain and registering 20 minutes later, really how full you are. I encourage everyone to put some effort into eating well, to pre-planning their meals, and to actually going back into the kitchen and cooking real whole foods. But I also want them to enjoy life and the nourishing opportunities that food gives us in our social outings, in the restaurant experiences that we have, in our cravings. And so you don't need to forgo any of your favorite foods to meet your health goals. It really comes down to being balanced. And by approaching your favorite foods with a mindful intention, you'll actually be present, you'll taste and savor the experience, and you'll probably notice that you're satisfied with a lot less. The first step to establishing a daily mindful eating practice is really to make a commitment to the process. Choose a time of day or a specific type of food to start experimenting with. So you'll want to choose a time where you can be uninterrupted and where you can fully engage all of your senses and your attention to the eating experience. A lot of times when we are so busy, we can find ourselves going from a full plate to a completely empty plate without even noticing the taste, the flavors, or the actual experience itself. Mindful eating helps us to slow down, to really taste the food, and to let it nourish our bodies and our emotions and our spirits. And so it's important to start with a food that is simple, but that can really show you how intense you can taste the flavors with such a small bite. Usually I will start with a raisin, and people are astounded by how they taste the raisin differently than they have ever done before. So when you take something as small as a raisin, you realize that there can be intense flavor that you might not have ever tasted before. And so when you're trying to establish a mindful eating practice, take just one and take a moment and lay it in your hand. Let the light reflect off of the contours. Notice the textures visually first. Far too often, as busy mothers, we put forth a lot of effort to prepare a beautiful meal, and hardly ever does anyone stop to appreciate the visual presentation. This doesn't have to be reserved for the fine dining experiences. This is something that we really want to engage in practice on a daily basis. So by taking one raisin, notice how the light reflects off of the food. Notice the colors, the vibrancy. And then notice the weight of it in the palm of your hand. Maybe take the raisin and feel the texture between the fingers. If you've ever noticed a young child eating, they are enthralled with the sensory information that they receive from just eating something so simple. And when we're talking about mindful eating, we're also talking about going back to our intuitive wisdom of how we nourish our bodies. From a very young age, we used to pay attention, we used to play with our food, we appreciated it. And that's really what this mindful experience is about, is going back and visually appreciating it, texturally, taking a moment to feel it, engage all of your senses. Even Take a moment, does it have much of a smell? Or a lot of times stuffed food may have a wonderful aroma, and then when you actually taste it, it doesn't always live up to your expectations. So by pausing, play a little bit, listen to the sounds. Just take a moment and breathe. A lot of times we rush into everything as busy mothers, and we really want to just take time to nourish our own needs at this moment. And when you're ready, you can gently place the craisin on your tongue and take a bite. And notice the flavors coming to life. You may not have ever tasted a craisin as vibrantly as you do when you're mindfully eating. Children intuitively know how to do this. They naturally eat according to their hunger and their fullness signals, and they'll self-regulate. It's really not up to us as parents to tell them how much food they need to be eating. Rather, I try to encourage mothers and fathers as well to really pay attention to what their signals are and to talk about the postman. We talk about this fullness hormone that travels from the gut to the brain. And so in our household, we talk about, well, has the postman arrived and told you how full you are yet? You know, have we been eating quickly? Do we need to pause and just have a nice conversation as a family before going back for seconds? Children up to the age of 5 naturally will do this, but somewhere along the line, there's too many messages that start to lead us away from our intuitive wisdom, and it's ultimately our job to find our way back.